G'day legends, I hope you're all amazing. Let's check out Cortex Control for the Neural DSP Quad Cortex. I've got the latest firmware on the Quad Cortex and I've got the official release for Cortex Control, which is the software editor. You just connect a single USB cable to your computer and you can use this. I'm taking a screen cap here on my Mac. I'm going to go through some of my favorite features and build some tones on here. The first thing that you notice is it essentially mirrors the onboard UI of the Quad Cortex. You've got your 4 different rows on here and you are free to add blocks pretty much wherever you like. So let's do just that. I'm going to start right here and add an amp block. You can see over on the left we've got a list of all the available amp models on here. The first really cool feature, and one of my favorite features in here, is that you can pin your favorite amp models on here. So I've pinned the Brit 2203 over here. Let's drop that on and then let's add a cab IR using the IR loader. I'm just going to select the single mono IR over here. Probably my favorite feature in terms of workflow on the Quad Cortex is that you can set defaults for each effect type in here. So the IR loader, you can see, immediately loads up with my favorite LTTV Mix 7 cab IR. This one's available for free in the video description with the low and high pass right where I like them. That's really, really straightforward. We should actually just hear this PRS DGT on the bridge humbucker. This is quite a nice crunch. That is going to do as a really nice starting point for a kind of rock rhythm preset. One extra feature, I don't think it was added in this firmware, but probably a little bit earlier, is the input block that you select has a built-in gate that you can activate or deactivate. That is very, very handy on there. So again, you can go through and say select one of your favorite amp models in here. Let's hear something clean, like maybe this CA 1-star clean 100 watt normal. You can see I've tweaked this one previously, so it's got my favorite settings already baked in there. Let's have a listen to that one. I use that one a lot on the Quad Cortex, so I'm going to come here and I am going to pin the model to the top. You can then see, once this kind of refreshes, that will be available up here. I can have the Brit 2203, or I can have the CA 1-star. Another amp model that I really like in here is the JPIIC Plus model, CA Johns 2C channel 1. I think it's channel 2 that is my favorite one on here. So again, I've gone and dialed in the basic settings over here and I've set the graphic EQ where I like it. I am similarly going to pin that one to the top over there so I can grab this whenever I want it. Another amp model that I've been digging on here is the Boogie Tremoverb model. You can see where I've got this one dialed in. I actually tweaked this from the stock settings. So what I'm going to do here is to set the parameters as default. So when I load up this Tremoverb amp model, it's going to reset here as the starting point. Again, I absolutely love that on here. I wish every single modeler out there did this. And let's pin that one to the top of the list. And of course, we should have a listen to it in drop-down. Now, if you do want to have the tuner on the editor, you can click in the tuner icon down here. You can even hit this so that it shows a little live tuner in the footer section over here, which again is very, very handy as a kind of workflow thing on there. So I've pinned the Tremoverb, and if we go up now to a different block and come back, you can see up here, I've got those 4 amp models pinned, which I really, really like. Let's add some reverb to all of this. It's been a while since I've done a video with the QC, and there are loads of new features in here. I'm just gonna go with the plate tight. I like this as a kind of good all-rounder. Just add a little bit of ambient style reverb. And again, because it's something I use all the time, I'm just gonna pin it to the top. On top of that, I feel like boosting this Tremoverb as well. So let's add an overdrive. You can see I've got a bunch of boosts already pinned here. Let's go with the myth drive. That is the clone style model, and have a listen to the effect that has. You can double click these icons to bypass or engage the blocks as well. Let's hear it unboosted and then boosted. The workflow on here is really nice and quick. One thing that I wish it did have was a blocks library on here, something like Axe Edit has. I really like that ability to have defaults for each of the different drive types, but it would be cool to have more than one preset available for them, even if it's just in the editor. For example, if you were using this myth drive for a boost into a dirty amp, you might set it up like this. If I was using it into a clean amp, I might have the treble lower and the gain higher on there. It would be nice to instantly access those. But let's go with the SD1 model over here. I'll come back to the amp. I'll go to that pinned Brit 2203 and we'll have a listen to what that sounds like. Then I'm going to add some delay on the back end. One great thing about this software editor being out is it makes doing tutorials so much easier. So I'd love to know which blocks you would like to see some tutorials on. I want to dive into the delay block, the modulation block, the amp block, all those kind of things, and do a series in the new year here, because the editor does make it so much easier on my end to do that. Let's move this delay over and let's add some modulation in here. And you can see I've got a bunch of pinned devices up here. So I think the modulation section is probably the most impressive effects section in the Quad Cortex at the moment. You've got like all the classic boss modulation in here. You've got the CE2, you've got the DC2, there's a 2290 chorus. It's weird that there's a 2290 chorus and no 2290 delay. The chorus engine and the flanger engine are super powerful as well. I really like those. And again, I want to do some videos with those, dialing in some different tones, because I think these kind of feel the most fleshed out. The reverbs and the delays are totally functional, but I think they could be expanded a little bit along the lines of this modulation section. So let's hear this Chief DC2W on top of all of this. You can see mode 3, mix at 50%. I'm on the rack mode for it. I'll just bypass this delay by double clicking it, and we'll hear the difference between no DC2 and DC2 for a widening effect. Again, I've got the boost on, so what is it? SD1 into JCM 800, greenback cab, bit of plate reverb. Let's go. little bit of phaser in front of all of that is always fun. I do like that instead of having, say, separate script and block phase 45 and phase 90 models, so like 4 blocks, they've just got it baked into this one block over here. Same thing with certain amps that might have real world switches on them. That does just make the overall workflow when you're trying to compare things really, really easy. I think that's a real strong point of this unit on here. Another great little thing you can use for a boost instead of, say, an overdrive. I've selected an overdrive here. Let's click on it, and then we'll come over here and replace it with the 9-band graphic. They have updated the UI on the unit, so this actually looks like a graphic EQ, but high pass at 150 Hertz, low pass at 6.5K, and I've just bumped up 1K by 6 dB. Let's turn the phaser off and we'll get rid of the chorus on there for now. There's another great way if you don't want to use a drive block, but you want a sweet little boost in front of everything. Try one of the 9-band EQs set like this and, you know, experiment with the frequency on there. You can try boost 2K or 500 instead of 1K, but 1K is pretty sweet. I switch back over to that Lone Star model on here. I've got a little bit of the chorus engine happening. I'll go through a few features in here that I really, really like. Bit of the dual delay, and I've swapped over to the modulated reverb. One thing that I would like to see become consistent in the reverb block is you can see here the decay is 4 seconds, whereas something like the Mind Hall, the decay is 70%, so it's not in seconds. I would much rather this just be in seconds. You know, if I want 10 seconds of reverb or 45 seconds of reverb, that makes a lot more sense than just setting the decay to a percentage value over there. And again, the plates, similar kind of thing. It's weird that this isn't consistent across all of them. But anyway, let's hear the modulated reverb. I'm going to crank up the decay on that. This one sounds very, very nice. And we'll come back to this chorus engine. So let's just hear a bit of delay and reverb with the Lone Star. I'm on the neck single coil mode on this guitar now. Voice mode on there is probably my favorite feature. You can get some different chorus character depending on whether you select broad, open, thick, or full on there. Again, one of those things where you just have to use your ears and have a listen to what sounds best. So I should do a tutorial just on the chorus engine. Let me know if you'd like to hear that. You can access the device settings, the I/O settings, and the modes configuration on here as well. One cool thing is that if you go to the setup over here, I think this is something that has been added for this firmware is you can swap over the tempo and tuner access. It's a little bit weird to me that you just can't put those anywhere you like on the unit. And the bypass assignment, previously, I believe you just added a device and it would auto assign it to a foot switch. You can disable that. And then if you've got particular blocks over here, say like this chorus, what you do over here is come down and you can assign it to whatever foot switch you want. So I'm going to assign it to A. I can actually have a look at the different gig views over here by hitting this icon down at the bottom. Let's assign the delay over here, say to foot switch B. We'll assign the reverb to foot switch C. You kind of get the idea over here, totally customizable, which is, in my opinion, a lot nicer. It makes a lot more sense, and it's going to keep a lot of people happy over there. In terms of the setup and settings as well, you can make backups to your computer now. You used to have to use the cloud to do that. I much prefer that. You can actually see your profile over here as well. So you'll want to follow me on the Cortex cloud. I'm Leon Todd, just like on YouTube. But let's come over here and again, in device settings, if you want to make a backup, you can name your backup, you can set the location on there, you can have your cloud backups and your local backups on there, which people have been asking for a long time. You can adjust the screen brightness, the Wi-Fi connection, the power functions, how sensitive the on-off button is over there, kind of everything that you would want to be able to do on here, including how the master volume assign works over there. So basically this kind of gets it much closer to where I think a lot of people thought the Quad Cortex was going to be at launch. I could go on and complain about the fact that it's been 3 years and they've released a lot of plugins and maybe not so many updates, but the fact is that the editor is out now. It makes using the unit even easier, in my opinion. It's absolutely no slouch using the onboard touchscreen. So many people love the unit for that, and I can totally see why. But for me, when I'm working here in the studio, I love having a software editor. So this makes me so much happier, and it makes me want to produce a bunch more content and actually play the unit over here. So I would love to hear from all of you how you're liking this, what tutorials would you like to see in the future, and what are you looking forward seeing in this unit. It looks like the plugin compatibility will come at some point in 2024. And like one little thing that I did notice, I went and looked back at when they announced this in 2020, they had a list of amp models that were going to be in there. For example, like the Boogie 2C Plus. That's still not in here, but they released that as a plugin. So I think the fact that they initially hype marketed this as saying it's going to have a particular amp model, but then you're probably going to have to pay to get that amp model. I really doubt that they're going to add that as a free update, given the plugin exists and they're going to port over plugin compatibility, which again, I'd like to hear from people how they feel about that. Is spending $100 to get a Boogie 2C Plus worth it, or do you think they're actually just going to do it as a free update in here? I suspect it's going to be one of those, well, you got to buy the plugin if you want the 2C Plus, but I am totally ready to be proved wrong on here. With that little rant out of the way, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'm really enjoying this. I'm going to do a bunch more videos with it. And if you want to grab my neural captures and presets, again, I'm on the cloud as Leon Todd. Thanks for watching. If you want to support my channel, links in the video description. Grab my free cab IRs as well. And have a great day. Go and make some greasy guitar noises. I appreciate it.